Howdy, guys, and welcome to night 48 of Big Brother Season 23's overnight feed recaps. And welcome to Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. All right, Monday night, we had the veto ceremony. So let's just refresh where we're at right now inside the house. We've got Sarah Beth as HOH. We had the veto ceremony. Xavier had won veto. As expected, he pulled himself off the block. And as expected, Derek X went up in his place. So now, come Thursday night, we're going to have Claire versus Derek X to go home. Derek X is definitely the target. Doesn't mean that there's not a small possibility that he could survive, but he is the backdoor plan, has been so since the very beginning of this week. And it looks like probably Derek X is going to be who's going to go home this week. But we did have some conversations overnight talking about it. So we'll talk about that. Now, first of all, being Monday night, the backyard is still available. There's a lot of house guests right now who want to do anything except talk game. They're just trying to have fun. They're waiting till later in the week. So we had a lot of that conversation as well. We won't talk as much about that, but let's start off by saying that the house guests did play an extended couple of rounds of Mafia again. And so again, just hanging out in the living room, trying to avoid gameplay by playing Mafia. They did that. Talk turned from gameplay, fun gameplay as opposed to strategic Big Brother gameplay. Talk turned from playing Mafia and such into what people's real professions may be inside the house. And of course, the first person who comes up as a discussion topic is Xavier. You know, Xavier is an attorney. He hadn't told anyone that. He still has told everyone he's a model / bartender. And he's sticking with that, but he's still getting called out for that claim. Apparently, earlier in the day, I suppose it's earlier in the day. I didn't actually hear when he made the comment, but apparently Xavier had said that he liked to play basketball after work, which resulted in Hannah and Claire both jokingly, as much as joking can be said, they both said, "Yeah, if you're a bartender, you're not playing basketball after work. You do something other than that, Xavier." And again, they said it kind of jokingly, not accusingly, but the suspicion is still there that Xavier's up to something, does something other than just bartending. Now, I don't know that they truly think he's an attorney. If so, I would be scared to death if I was going up on the block versus Xavier. I don't know that they're actually buying that yet, but lots of people think there's more to Xavier than just what he's talking about. But from there, and talking about Xavier, conversations turned to all the other house guests in the house, what they actually do, who's lying about the professions, and everything. It's just, again, having fun inside the house. We did get an interesting comment, though, from Xavier at one point, and I can't remember who he was talking to. He may have just been talking to the camera. I don't remember at this point, but Xavier made a mention. Remember, in order to win the veto, he also had to take several punishments: isolation, bankrupt Big Brother bucks, but also being a third nominee on the block this week, or if he wins HOH, being the nominee the following week. Well, Xavier said that he'd like to go ahead and get that punishment third nomination taken care of this week instead of the week following. So as a result, he isn't going to go for the next OH. He's basically going to throw it. Now, normally I'm against throwing HOHs. I don't think it's a great idea most of the time. In this case, it makes perfect sense that he's going to do so. He wants to get on the block while there's still non-Cookout Alliance members in the house that will be the bigger target than himself. So he wants to go on the block this week, make sure he goes up against a non-Cookout Alliance member. That person goes home and his punishment is out of the way. Makes perfect sense. Here's the other thing as well, why he probably would want to go ahead and get on the block this week as opposed to following week. Well, I don't know. I was going to say the coin of destiny, the coup d'etat power that's getting played this week. An invisible HOH. Well, it looks like probably the only two people who are going to be able to play in that particular game are going to be Hannah and Big D. Those two have enough money. They should be able to play this week. Now, there's no guarantee that they actually would win the power, but if anyone wins it, it's going to be one of those two. Well, if I'm Xavier, I'm a third nominee. I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable that two members of the Cookout Alliance controlling the HOH would do what it took to make sure that there aren't two Cookout Alliance members on the block against each other. There's at least one non-Cookout person up there. So, yeah, if I'm Xavier, I would much rather go on the block this week than the week following, where there's fewer non-Alliance members and things are a little bit more up in the air. So I think that's a good thought from Xavier. But I did think that was an interesting conversation from his, or observation from his point. All right, we've got Tiffany and Claire talking. They're discussing how the game would be different if they had kept Christian and sent Sarah Beth home a couple of weeks ago, thinking they would probably be in a stronger position if that was the case. And I tend to agree with them. I think that would be a stronger situation. Christian had loyalty to Tiffany and would have fought for her as much as possible. And they're thinking that if Christian was in the house as well, Sarah Beth is gone, Derek X probably wouldn't be going home this week. Maybe not, but there's a good chance he wouldn't be. So yes, I agree with what they're saying, that they would be in a stronger position just themselves. However, from a Cookout Alliance standpoint, having two strong non-Cookout Alliance members still in the house, Christian and Derek X, after this week, it wouldn't have been nearly as good for the Cookout Alliance. So at this point, Tiffany and Claire doesn't know about the Cookout Alliance. Tiffany does. I'm not sure if Tiffany really would have preferred to have Christian still in the house, or she would prefer to have the Cookout Alliance as strong as it is. It certainly would have benefited Tiffany's game, I think, to have Christian still in the house. But hey, coulda, shoulda, woulda. That's half of what we think about while we're inside that house as we go through the game. All right, we've got Sarah Beth, who has now joined Tiffany and Claire. She's saying that she really is going to love she's going to love this anonymous HOH twist of next week, the coin d'etat, the coin of destiny power. She's going to love it next week when she's pulled from the block after being nominated. Sarah Beth knows that she's going to be a big target next week. She anticipates that she easily could be put on the block, but she's thinking that if this power twist takes place, she's pulled off the block, she's going to love every bit of it. Well, here's the thing. As I mentioned before, Hannah and Big D are probably the only two that'll be able to compete, potentially win the power. I don't see either one of them pulling Sarah Beth off the block if she's up there. I think that if she's counting on the coin of destiny saving her next week, then she's in a lot of trouble, because I just don't see either one of those two pulling Sarah Beth off the block. They'd probably be more likely to target Sarah Beth when you get right down to it. So she's holding out hope for something that is not going to work out nearly the way she thinks it is, or hopes it's going to be. All right, we've got Claire and Hannah and Tiffany talking in the yacht room, the yacht bedroom. They're talking about how empty the house is getting, that there's only 2 people sleeping in there. I think they said at one point, well, just wait until there's only 4 or 5 people in the house. When I was in there with just the 4 of us, it was amazing. Every single one of us had a bedroom to ourselves. It was so strange as compared to when you have 15 or 16 people in the house. Claire is suggesting that Big Brother might close off one of the bedrooms just to force everyone to stay closer together and continue to interact with each other. During my season, they never did that. We had all the bedrooms open, which meant that it was incredibly easy to go off and find a spot completely to yourself at the end of the season and get away and gather your thoughts and everything else. So I don't know, maybe they'll close off a room this season, but I doubt it. They didn't do it with ours. It's non-gameplay, but just a kind of interesting thought with that. Claire's talking to the camera. Love when she talks to the cameras. Claire's talking to the camera. She's saying she's on the block next to her boy Derek X, and it's not good. It's not good times at all. I agree. It could be worse, Claire. You could be Derek X. But she's saying, yeah, it's not good. She's also upset. She's saying Kylan and Sarah Beth played us. They just absolutely played us to get us here, and I don't like that whatsoever. She's also talking about the fact that she really trusts Azah and Tiffany. Well, Tiffany seemed much more willing to keep Derek X over you, Claire, if it was purely a decision to be made by Tiffany. So yeah, she trusts Azah and Tiffany. Maybe those are false trust to some degree. Tiffany again has said that she's ready to get rid of Claire sooner rather than later because Claire knows too much about her game. But Claire's trusting Azah and Tiffany. And she's saying maybe she trusts Hannah as well, that she kind of is getting to the point where she feels like she can trust Hannah. You notice Claire's trusting 3 women. I'm telling you, this is going to follow along gender lines just in a few weeks. I absolutely believe, but that's who she feels closest to. She's thinking that Kylan and Sarah Beth probably have something going on with the other 2 former kings, Lissa and Xavier. And she's right to a degree. Certainly, Those four have been trying to work together a little bit, and we'll continue to do so as a bit of a side alliance to some degree. Hannah is continuing. Hannah, she's part of the Cookout Alliance. Derek X is her primary duo side piece, whatever, and she doesn't want to lose him. She's continuing to try to push very subtly to keep Derek X. She's talking to Kylan in the bathroom. She's saying, "Look, the vote could be 4-3 to keep Derek X in the house." And Kylan's saying, "Yeah, man, what if it's 4-3 the other way? I don't know that necessarily is going to be the case, Hannah." So he's talking about that to her. And Kylan later asked Hannah, he says, "Why are you giving Derek X false hope that he's got a chance? It's not going to happen. He's not going to stay in the house. It's not going to happen, Hannah." Well, here's the thing. Hannah at that point is suggesting to Kylan, saying, "Yeah, maybe not. But what if we two gave Derek X votes? If we voted to send Claire home, just so it's not unanimous and everything, what if we gave Derek X just a couple of pity votes, just for the heck of doing it?" Well, that's an interesting strategy and an interesting effort, because earlier Derek X had talked to, I think it was Tiffany he was talking to. He had suggested that, look, Tiffany, Hannah, Azza, if y'all all lie to Kylan and tell him that y'all are sending me out the door, that y'all are absolutely set on sending me out the door, then maybe I can convince Kylan to throw me a sympathy vote, so it's not unanimous. Apparently earlier, Kylan had said something to Derek X at some point during the season, said, "Look, if you're going out, I'll throw a vote your way, so it's not unanimous. I'll give you a little rogue vote if possible." So Derek X is saying, "Hey, maybe I'll call him on that, call in that favor and see if he's willing to do it. As long as y'all lie and say that you're voting to send me home, he'll do it just to help me out, just to be a nice guy and all of that." Well, then suddenly, if the three of them turn around and vote to save Derek X, and Kylan's thrown out this pity vote, suddenly it's 4-3 to save Derek X. So I think it's interesting. Do I think it's going to work? Yeah, probably not. And I don't think Kylan's ever going to believe that Azza or that Hannah is going to vote to send Derek X out the door. But if they can even convince him that there's only going to be 2 votes cast against him, that it could be a 5-2 vote, maybe he'd throw out the vote just to be nice to Derek X. I don't think so. But Derek X, he's fighting to the very end. He's coming up with some ideas that theoretically could work. And how much fun would it be if it did work? Oh, to see the look on people's faces, it would be golden. I would love to see it. Don't think it's going to happen, but I'd love to see it. All right, let's see what else. Kylan, we've got Alyssa and Xavier. Alyssa saying that she really misses Christian, and Xavier saying, "Look, I think you got more feelings for Christian than you're letting on. I think there's more to it than you're trying to play it on the down low, but I think there's more to it than that." And she says, "Yeah, you're probably right, and I didn't realize it till he was gone, but yeah, I'm feeling stronger feelings for him than I would have even acknowledged. So you're right." And at that point, then she starts talking about Sarah Beth and Kylan, saying, "Hey, did you see while Sarah Beth had her shoulder on Kylan, they were holding hands as well." Alyssa still does not want to be the only non-showmance that existed in the house. So she's still trying to throw a little showmance suspicions onto to Kylan and Sarah Beth as well, as she talks about her own relationship with Christian. Yeah, some things never change, right? All right, we've got Kylan talking to Hannah. He's telling Hannah that if Sarah Beth is the last person left, then he'll send her home. Well, Kylan's talking to the person who's about to lose her side person, and basically saying, "Nah, if I have to, I'll let her go at the very end." Whatever. Kylan's more protective of Sarah Beth than pretty much anyone else in this house is protective of their side people, of anyone. Which is funny, because he's also saying to Hannah, he's saying, "Look, other Cookout members need to be willing to do what needs to be done for the group, for the cause, just like I am. It can't just be me. They can't just talk about it. They have to be willing to do it." Well, when you get right down to it, especially last week where Kylan kind of went out of his way to make sure Sarah Beth was protected, I think Kylan isn't necessarily the one who people are viewing as the one most willing to make his personal sacrifices in order for the Cookout Alliance to move forward. He's very protective of Sarah Beth, but doesn't mean that he's not going to still call out other people, saying that they maybe aren't doing enough for the Cookout Alliance. He wants other people to do it, not just necessarily himself. All right. Well, Hannah wants to. All right, now this was interesting. Hannah's talking about the talk turns to the Cookout Alliance and everything, and the last pawn and all that. Hannah's thinking that she would love to tell the last pawn left in the house, in other words, number 7 out of the 6 people for the Cookout Alliance, and then the last pawn left. She'd like to tell that last pawn about the Cookout Alliance and the ultimate goal, the bigger picture, the bigger goal, the bigger mission, I guess, of the Cookout Alliance, and let them know as they're walking out the door. Now, I'm not sure why. Maybe is she thinking that if they tell that last juror, the last juror will go to the rest of the jury in the jury house and pass the message on. It's not just about the game. It's about this bigger mission that the Cookout Alliance has. I'm not sure what her objective is in passing that on, but Kylan's saying, no, we don't need to do that. Just say that we're a big alliance working together. You don't need to talk about ultimate goals, objective. Just tell them we're a big alliance and leave it at that. And so, there's some discussion about, because that's the thing. We're starting to hear people, Claire and Derek X, for example, starting to recognize that the Cookout Alliance members probably are working together. But do they understand that there may be reasons beyond just the game of Big Brother? I don't think so yet. So there may be some discussion going forward about how much does the Cookout Alliance really want to reveal to everyone else in the house. We've got more talk about Xavier's real job. Kylan again is talking about that and saying, look, he can't be a bartender because he doesn't have any fun stories. Bartenders have all these crazy stories. He didn't have any of them. There's no way. And Hannah comes back and says, he doesn't have the personality to be a bartender either. He's a smart guy and all that, but he doesn't have the personality of a bartender. So people are kind of understanding. It's hard to lie throughout an entire season about something inside that house. I never tried it because there's no way I'd get away with it. Derek from season 16 did it and did it successfully. Some people can do it, others not so much. Xavier carries himself like a very logical, very smart person. So yeah, he's not that bartenders aren't smart or logical. I'm just saying I can see how people would think maybe he'd be an attorney based on the way Xavier carries himself. All right, later, and finally, we've got Hannah talking to Azza. She's saying, look, you or me or Tiffany, we have got to win HOH this coming up week so we can take out Sarah Beth. Again, we've got the female members of the Cookout Alliance who very much are ready for Sarah Beth to get out the door. I think they recognize that Kylan's a little too tight with her. They feel like she is having way too much influence in terms of the game itself. Sarah Beth's in trouble next week. That's all there is to it. Unless Kylan can come back and win HOH, I think Sarah Beth's in trouble. So we'll find out. All right, guys, that's it for a Monday night. Y'all have a fantastic Tuesday. I will be back tomorrow. We'll see what happens. They may lose the backyard. They'll probably lose the backyard today. Everything gets a little bit more stressful when everyone's forced indoors. We'll see if that affects the gameplay, the game talk overnight, and I will be back tomorrow to tell you all about it. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Tuesday. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.